I thought I could handle someone telling me that coach had passed. I was out cutting brush in a field, and my wife Audrey called me and said coach had passed. And I never really knew till that moment how close that rascal had really got to me until he was gone. Unfortunately, through the course of my life, losing parents and different loved ones, you realize after they're gone how much more they meant to you than what you realized when they were here. I hope I can be better at that in the future, because I felt a terrible loss. I felt like someone very close to me and my family had passed. Coach Shula was such a rock. He was such so exact in his feelings, so totally 100%, this is the way it is, that you drew off that strength when you were around him without even realizing it. Sometimes I resented him for it. More often than not, I resented him for it. I muttered with the rest of the players, you know, this is too much, too long, too hot, too everything. But the result was perfection. One time in the course of 100 years, one team made every play it had to make during the course of the season to attain perfection. One time. And we were lucky enough to be with that. Now that it doesn't reflect the entirety of his career, obviously, but it is a little microcosm of what he was about, that kind of dedication. And once we learned that in '72, then I never questioned him again. And to answer your question, I miss him terribly already. Now, let me tell you, I don't know where old NFL players go. I don't know, Lombardi, coaches, great players, Sam Huff, all the great ones. Where are they? Where do they go after they die? Well, we like to believe they go to heaven. But I tell you, if they ship the football players off and the coaches off to a certain place, wherever that place is, tonight there's going to be one hell of a lightning bolt hit it, because Shula's going to arrive and things are going to change.
You know, he was a boss back then, but as years go by, we become friends, and we're kind of like equals. Not like he was the boss and I was the underling, and that's the way it was back then. But no, I lost a good friend. I lost a great friend. My last time with him, I was on the phone with him a few weeks ago, and then we were at Gulfstream maybe a month and a half ago for one of our lunches. That's probably the last time I saw him, and he looked good then. He was amazing. I mean, we'd be sitting right out in public, and people would be going by, and some lady would, with her granddaughter, would stop by and say, "Oh, you're Coach Shula," and he would smile, and she said, he'd sign an autograph, and then he would. Then she said, "Can I take a picture?" She said, "Yeah, with your granddaughter." So Shoes would take a picture. And he said, "Now take one with me by myself," you know. Yeah. And then he would, and other people would come by, and so he was at the end of the table, and that's where he wanted to be, where he could meet and greet and say hello, and he was
social.
He was a social person back then. Now this one he was. Back then he wasn't, maybe, but now he was.
That moment lasted 8 years, and he demanded the most out of his players. And many of his players couldn't deal with that, including myself at times. But what happened was we performed beyond our wildest imagination. And when a player can look in the mirror and say, that wasn't me, but somebody's expectation of my performance that overcame my own limitations, I mean, that is an amazing aspect of a great coach. And it's not easy during the moment, but in retrospect, every player that played for Coach Shula looks back and says, he got me to do more out of my body, out of my performance than I could have ever done on my own. And a mentor, a coach, a great leader can take a team of people like that and make them great. And that's what he did year in and year out for those years he coached for the Miami Dolphins and beyond, quite honestly. He lives in every one of our dreams and sometimes nightmares to this day.
One of the interesting parts of that was we made it to the Super Bowl the year before, and Dallas Cowboys beat us. And I still remember his first speech going into the perfect season. And it was, just remember, no one ever will remember who lost the Super Bowl. And this year, we need to get back and win it. And we did. And, along the way, we just happened to win every game along the way. And interestingly, when people said, well, didn't you guys think that was the greatest thing you could do is go undefeated? And we said, no. The greatest thing was winning the Super Bowl. And we really didn't think much about being undefeated for another 12 or 13 years. Chicago came in 1985. They were undefeated. And Marino, Napmore, and the receivers just lit up the sky, and we won. It was the only loss that Chicago had that year. That was the first year that anybody realized that no one had ever done it before 1972. So we were just thinking we had a 13-year undefeated record going, when it turned out to be more like, 50 years, 50, 60 years. And from that point forward, being undefeated, became a lot more important than it was, initially, because all we cared about was winning the Super Bowl and getting Coach Shula off our back.